Connecting to the Methernet. Methernet now connected.
This is the Wally and Methot Show live. Now, here are your hosts, Brent Wallace and Mark Methot.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Wally Methot Show live. Although I don't know how the Methernet is going to hold up today. Meth is at the cottage. Hey, Meth, don't move.
Yeah, I know. My internet's shit, so I apologize for you listening. I don't really know what else to say. I mean, I've got my Ethernet cable connected here, Wally. I'll tell you.
Fantastic.
But you guys, can you guys at least hear me?
Yeah, I know it'll be good. I just appreciate the fact that you don't ever change. That's what I like about you. Consistency is what got you to the NHL, and that is what makes this so successful. Lots to talk about today. As always, the show brought to you by sportsinteraction.com. Go to sportsinteraction.com/Wally Methot. There's still time to get in. If you want to play some bets on who's going to go first overall or anything with the draft, you just won't be able to pick who the Sens will pick in seventh. That's because, as we all know, that the Sens have since traded that pick along with a couple others to bring in Alex DeBrincat from Chicago, which we're going to get to. Lots to talk about. Matt, how you been? It's been like a month.
I've been good. Aside from this auction, pretty good. My back's been brutal, so I haven't been golfing or doing anything fun. We're at the cottage. My son caught his first fish today, so that was very exciting.
Oh,
but otherwise, Wally, just killing time. I'm a professional time killer. You?
Well, I got a man cold, which I've been coughing for the last 2 days. So I feel like the NyQuil guy, where it's like, Pam, call my mom. Yes, I am that guy. So that's about it. Anyway, I don't need to talk about me. We've also got, we were hoping to have Ian Mendez on, but the whole trade with Alex DeBrincat is squashed that for right now. We'll see by the end of the show if he can join us. I doubt it because he's on the draft floor. Bobby Ryan's going to stop by later if he could get his internet working. I'm just kidding. He's actually always well prepared, unlike some people on the show.
Fair enough.
By the way, you're up in Renfrew County, or up in Whitewater County, which, by the way, Whitewater, which has the lovely display behind me. Have you tried their new beer before we get going? It's called Sunset.
Which one is that?
It's a beach lager. It is a lemon lime.
Wow.
It's just a hint of lemon lime. It is so good, Meth. I'm telling you right now, it may be the best that they've done.
We've been drinking their sours. I've been drinking sours here at the cottage. We still have a whole bunch of them, so we've been taking them up. But I have to get into that Sunsetter.
The Wham Funky Fresh is really good. I will say that's the sour one as well. Lime kiwi sour. Go to shopwhitewater.ca. Use the Wham-Funky Fresh coupon code 15% off. That's what we're trying to do here. We try to help you out. Okay. Let's just get to the trade. I was sitting here. I had my show already. I had like 6 pages of notes ready to roll through this whole draft spectacular show that we used to do. And then Pierre Dorian goes ahead and makes this trade. The Sens acquire Alex DeBrincat for the 7th overall, the 39th overall, and then the 3rd pick in 2024. Are you surprised that he was able to pull this off?
I mean, we have to acknowledge that this was a fantastic trade with Senators, right? And I know I'm probably just regurgitating everything that everybody else has already said online. In fact, the way I found out was while I was cooking dinner and my brother spoke up here. He's also at the cottage with his family, and he mentioned the trade. And right away I got onto my phone, Wally, and looked it up. And I couldn't get over what we gave up. When I say we, of course, I'm talking with Senators. I think Ottawa fleeced them. I really do. I mean, you just acquired a 40. Well, I should say it's happened once, but it's potentially here moving forward a 40 goal scorer. So huge pickup for the Ottawa Senators. I know, but you know what I mean. He's still relatively young, but for me, it's simple. Yeah. It's a huge win for the Ottawa Senators. So you finally have a guy that can play with Tim Stützle, that can put the puck in net. He can also make plays. He's not a big player. but a lot of fun to watch. Very skilled, great hockey sense. I think it's a slam dunk.
Okay, so there's a couple of things. One, people keep saying they flee Chicago. I'm not sure about that because of the fact that you don't know if you get DeBrincat for 2 more years or longer, right? So he's got this year coming up where they're going to pay him $9 million. Hey, hats off to the Sens. We complain a lot about them not spending. They're spending a full $9 million on this player. Number 2 is the next following year, he's an RFA, and then he becomes a UFA. So they may only have him for 2 years. And so by fleecing, if they gave up 3 potential prospects to get that for only 2 years, it may not be the big fleecing. But if they can sign him long-term, it's a huge win. There are no but I'm okay. It's time to use the picks, right? We kept saying, use the picks, use all your trade assets. They did it. And I don't have any complaints really with this deal. Unless they can't sign him long-term.
Yeah, no, Wally, I'm with you 100% on that. And you're right. Using the word fleece is probably an overreaction. It's a little aggressive. And you don't know what you're going to get in, moving down the road here. And I think the big thing, though, the big takeaway, at least for me, and you already mentioned this point, Wally, is the Sens are spending money right now. They went after a player. They made an aggressive move. They get their top six player, and it appeases your fan base, right? So right now, it's the best case scenario for the Sens. I'm actually excited to watch them play. I haven't watched them play a ton, Wally, because Chicago's been pretty well hot garbage now season. So they haven't exactly grabbed my attention a whole lot. So, I mean, I couldn't really tell you. Unlike a lot of people out there in this line of work, I'm willing to admit I don't know a whole lot about Alex DeBrincat. I don't. I mean, I know he's a really good player. I know he's a setup guy. He can score goals. But I haven't seen him play a ton to give you an honest assessment on his game. But I do know this. Ottawa put their necks out there. They got a top 6 forward, and it's a huge win for the Ottawa Senators.
I agree. So a couple of things. One, we just saw the stats put up there by Alex. His 5 seasons. Every season he's had, he's basically a 20 goal scorer or higher. There's one year he had only 18, but 28, 41, 18, 32, 41. So 160 goals in 368 games. That puts him, since he's joined the league, tied with Steven Stamkos for the 8th most goals in the league in that time frame. The guy can flat out score goals.
Yeah, I love that you brought that stat up, Wally, because that's huge. And I mean, he's doing it on a struggling team. I mean, this isn't a team where, he's had some pretty good line mates, but still, I mean, you're not playing for the Tampa Bay Lightning or the Vegas Golden Knights or whoever else. You're playing on a bottom feeder right now, at least, and still producing. So I'm excited to see what he can bring to the table. I'm more curious to see what his chemistry will be like with Tim Stützle. You don't know what you're going to get with these guys, but it seems like he's a very complimentary player. I mean, let's be honest.
Okay. But he may end up, but as you know, every time we go into training camp every year, we make the lines, we say he's going to play here. And by the end, these lines don't look anything like they're supposed to. And pretty soon he's playing with Shane Pinto on the top line because somebody else is out of the lineup, right? I just like him being able to play, and who knows, he may be playing with Josh Norris. All that stuff gets moved around.
Totally agree.
But I will say they didn't give up anything off the roster.
Right. No, that's a huge one. And I think, like I said, like you just mentioned, but I was going to add to that you've got a guy now who's relatively young. Finally, they get a player who still has a ton of juice left in him, right? He's not some over-the-hill veteran that they're bringing in as a complimentary guy that doesn't pan out.
24.
It's a legitimate top 6 guy that's got some miles ahead of him. So I don't know how else to talk about it other than I think it's a huge win for the Sens, and Sens fans have every right to be excited about this.
Yep, absolutely. He may be the best pure goal scorer that Ottawa has acquired on a consistent basis since Bobby Ryan, if I'm not mistaken. Bobby was a 4-time 30-goal scorer when he joined Ottawa. Speaking of which, Bobby Ryan is here to join us.
The spider.
So,
didn't even know.
Mr. Bobby Ryan, what do you think of this trade, by the way?
I guess I probably haven't dissected it as much as everybody. Can you hear me?
What did we just do to Bobby's? Oh, there you go. We lost you.
We got him. We're go. Go ahead, Bobby. Okay. We got you.
Yeah. I like it for a year or two, but then I don't know. Then the system gets crowded a little bit, and he's going to be demanding a lot of money if he's going to score 35 and 40 again, right? So,
Yeah.
but sorry about that. You gave up nothing. You essentially put your top six is solidified. What I would assume. So it's just you got to decide, is he going to be part of your core, because you got a lot of guys waiting in the wings that want to be top six players too, and but
Right.
that's not to throw it in the parade, because you add it without subtracting, and you got a bona fide goal scorer, like a big time goal scorer. So I think it's a good trade.
Yeah.
Well, that's what I wanted to say. You said, is he a legit, or does he fit in your top six? You can't find 40 goal scorers anymore just hanging around.
No, you can't. I guess, well, he immediately fits in your top six. Just does he fit in your top six 4 years from now? That's I guess what I mean. And at the salary and all, and then you got to convince him to stay, because Matthew, you and I both know that's not always easy either.
No.
So
100%.
But immediately your team got infinitely better for sure.
Well, 4 years from now, they'll have a downtown arena, Bobby, and then we can talk about this later in the show. By the way, how have you been?
I've been good, gents. Thank you. I'm with the family out in Idaho, enjoying, sometimes nice weather, sometimes January weather up here, but at the same time, we're playing lots of golf. The kids are involved in all their stuff, so it's been really nice up here.
Nice. Now, do you know much about DeBrincat, the player? Like, he's 5'7". Does the size matter at this point in the National Hockey League? He seems to do fairly well, scoring 41 goals twice already in his career.
Yeah, I mean, he's not going to have a Patrick Kane passing to him anymore, right? That'll change things a little bit, but I think the size matters less in the East, so I think it's going to be a benefit for him. It's more of a run and gun style. There's less grinding teams, I think, is the best way to put it. But at the same time, goal scorers just find a way. He's a Cole Caulfield, a more mature version of what Cole Caulfield is trying to be, I guess, is the best way to put it.
Right. Yeah.
All right. We could talk probably the whole show about Alex DeBrincat, but there's a couple other big notes going on right now, and we haven't even discussed them trying to bring in a top 4D if that's possible. I think, by the way, Claude Giroux is out of the picture, right? I don't know how you're going to be able to afford Claude Giroux now on top of adding Alex DeBrincat.
But I don't see that. I was going to say, I don't understand that move, because I know a lot of people are excited about it, and I know Bobby, I know G very well too. Great dude. But you've got we're talking about a player now that, how many good years does he have left, right? So would you bring him in as a mentor, leadership role, where obviously he can still produce? I'm not saying G can't. He's a terrific player, but you could see that his play is starting to regress a little bit. I think I'm allowed to say that. I mean, doesn't have the same speed that he used to have.
Yeah.
Starting to fall off a little bit. So when you do finally get that player, what are you really getting, right? So that was my concern. I know everybody was, fawning over this idea that we would get Claude Giroux, but you're not getting Claude Giroux from 2010, right? You're getting a different player, Bobby.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't think I ever saw the fit at all. Unless you were talking 2 years ago, when you were trying to build a culture, but it seems like your culture is set now, right? I think you have that in place, and you got your leadership core, and they'll have growing pains on that in that capacity. So there's some, there's some stuff to having a veteran like him around, but at the same time, he's not coming to be on your third line, and he's not coming for cheap, and he's not taking a discount. So I don't know where the fit was. I think because he owns a home, or is building a home there, or whatever it might be, that people just saw this instant connection that I think a lot of players looked at, or media looked at, and was like, I don't see it at all. So I think there was just a lot of stuff thrown in there that was never going to – I don't think it was ever going to materialize.
I agree. One of the things, and I want to say it's Graham Does Stuff in the chat said, does he just benefit, and you brought it up too, from Patrick Kane being the guy who's passing the puck? Will we see a fall off? But I will point out, I think he had Dylan Strome as his center in Erie. He scored 65 goals in one season in junior, and he did it. I think he had 50 in the other year or something. The guy's been able to score Bobby, do you think that there's a fall off if he doesn't have Patrick Kane and ends up either with Tim Stützle or Josh Norris?
I think there's probably a little bit, yeah. The other side of it is, that team's been bad for a bit in Chicago now, and those two play 21 minutes a night, first power play, all those things. Like the Ottawa's power play, that first unit is good. Like you're not breaking anybody up in that unit. So what do? You have to build another unit around him and Sanderson. And I just, I mean, he's absolutely going to fall off a little bit because of those two factors. But at the same time, I said it once, guys that have scored everywhere they've been will find a way.
So Bobby, on that note, because I'm not going to pretend to be a power play specialist. Everybody knows I've had his own career. What do a player like DeBrincat? I'm glad you guys are laughing at me. When it comes to a player like him coming in, you talk about, well, there's probably not really that opportunity that we'll see that player goals or whatever. Do you think it really is that big of a factor? Like, explain that. Now that you're not going to get on, and I don't know what are on the first power play unit when he was in Chicago, so I don't know how much that's going to affect him. But can you give people a better picture on that? Like, so what are you looking at as far as production goes if he drops into that second unit? Like, is he going to only play 30 seconds of power play?
Yeah, I think that's a big part of it. Typically your number one, your 1A power play is a minute to a minute 25. And then, right. I mean, you've heard the term so many times, Matt. Like when you go out there at 35 seconds, you're just killing the rest of the power play. You're power killers.
Yeah.
Like you might get one setup and one chance. So it's always like everybody was, how coaches would always be like, there's 1A and 1B, and they're like, shut up. Like whoever starts the power play is one, and whoever goes out there is killing time. Unless you start with a face-off, you really are. You're getting a broken entry. You're getting, all that. But like he's always played in the same place. No, you're not. No. But he's always played where Stützle has been, and you're not pulling Stützle off there because he runs a pretty good unit on that side with whoever. I think it's Josh on the other. So he's going to be getting a lot of tail end stuff, which will change. That for a fact that changes things. And when he had an extended slump, it was if your slump happens as a scorer, you look at the power play as a chance to break out of that. I read something today about him that he only scored 4 even strength goals in 2 months. I think it was 2 years ago. Wow. But that being said, he was doing it on the power play as well. So, but I don't know. Timmy's pretty good. I don't know Timmy, so I should call him that. Stützle's pretty good down the middle, so he's going to see the puck for sure.
Should point out Alex DeBrincat has 52 career power play goals, 14 of them coming this year alone. He can score. I would not be shocked, and I know Ottawa seems to have a pretty good core in their power play. I wouldn't be shocked if he finds himself on the top unit, though. Like I just don't know how you keep a guy who's
coming off.
I know, but
who's coming off?
One thing let me point out one thing. There's always injuries.
Yeah.
There's always someone seems to be out of the lineup. And then if you get on that power play unit and you continue to score goals, is it tough to take them off? Like, do we know that everybody's coming back in the lineup and is going to be awesome? You don't know that. So you do know Alex DeBrincat can score. Yeah.
And that being said, if he does find himself on the first unit right out of the gate and they're rolling and somebody comes back in the lineup, power play coaches are about as superstitious as it gets when it comes to that. You do not mess with a good thing when your power play is rolling.
It's true.
You just don't touch it.
Yeah, and I think I feel like we need to preface this, but we got to remind people we're not shitting on him at all. Like this is just I think we're just looking at it from like a realistic vantage point, right? Like just have a realistic expectation level going into next year. Like know that he's not going to be catered to as much as he has been in Chicago because there'll be some better players. So I feel like we just needed to mention that really quickly. I still think it's a fantastic trade.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a great trade.
I'm excited. Yeah. Yep. So speaking of trades, let's talk about the one that allegedly didn't happen. Trading Matt Murray to Buffalo with the 7th overall pick to get them to
Murray
take
dropped
that
the
contract.
old stop sign. Nope.
And then he did an old Dion Phaneuf and did not want to waive his no move clause. So how does that does the room care next season?
Let me just chime in quickly because I want to be I want to be clear. Shit, I'm dropping my AirPods.
I would have been on the horn if I were him saying, "Hey, Pierre might want to dangle me a call first because I'm not going."
Math, have you muted yourself? What is? Why can't this show ever go well? Math, you've muted yourself.
I bet you he dropped the earphone and it disconnected.
No, we're good. Can you guys hear me here?
Okay.
Oh,
yeah.
Yeah, I was going to say. Now, forget about this. Forget about my video. If people. Oh shit! Really? Okay, hang on here. You guys chat it up, and I'll figure this out.
No, you're good right now.
Here we go. Here, hang on. There we go. Is that better?
No, that's even worse.
What do you mean it's worse?
Why can't you just?
Now you got a big reverb.
Yeah.
AirPods.
I don't know how you made it to 13 seasons. Yes.
Yes. Check 1, 2.
Yeah.
Okay. No, I was going to say, I mean, can you blame, like, and I saw a couple people, I saw some media people say, well, you know, does Murray not want to move on? Like, he wanted to leave. Does he not want to move? Yeah, but listen, he earned that 10-team no trade. He's within his rights to say, no, thank you. I don't want to play in upstate New York. I'm bad home right now. I mean, come on, let's be honest here. You know, I had Buffalo on my no trade team list as well. And I'm not suggesting that they wanted to pick me up when I was there, but you know, it's like, if the guy's got a little bit of control, he's going to exercise it, right? So, like, let's just call spade a spade here.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. They made my list every year.
But let me put it to you this way: if the organization doesn't want you, and you don't really want to be in that organization, although as it seems, would you not almost go anywhere?
No. Absolutely not. Think about it, Wally. He's got a place now, right? Like, he's got a nice place in Ottawa. He lives outside of town on a big property. He's got a farm property. He's got these massive dogs. I mean, he's not going to move now until something works out well. And I mean, he's trying to maximize his deal, right? Like, if he has any say on it, like, that's what I did. I put every team that were in the high tax bracket, they were on my 10-team no trade. All the California teams, all the New York teams, and all the Canadian teams. They were all on my no trade list. So Matt Murray is exercising that. It's not just about winning. Your careers are this short. You're going to maximize every dollar you're going to try to make. So that might make people uncomfortable, but it's the truth.
All right, fair.
Agreed.
Okay, so in the room, if he struggles early on, do players care that he did not take the trade?
Bobby, you go.
I don't think guys would hold that against them at all. You know, yeah, no, because I think everybody, no matter how long they've been in the league, understands the business side of it is now the business side of it. And he simply said, I've earned that. I'm a 2-time Stanley Cup champion. I earned the contract. I earned the no trade, and I exercised it. And ultimately, because he's comfortable where he is and he wants to stay. So if I'm a player on the team, I'm looking at it as like, okay, he had an out. He had a chance to leave, regardless of where that place was, and he chose to stay. So that's how I would look at it, and I'd say, okay, you know, regardless of how he feels about management, right? Regardless of how he feels about management, he's still here and part of the team.
Yep. Yeah, you nailed it.
Would you guys have been upset if they had done that deal? To move Matt Murray, you had to give up your 7th.
And you're getting a 16th, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you're keeping 25% of the salary.
Oh, I would have been upset, I think. Like, think about it. You're dumping a contract, right? And you're giving up your 7th overall pick. I mean, I don't know. I was never good at this stuff when it came to the draft and the picks and all the trades and the business stuff, but that doesn't seem like a really good deal for Ottawa.
I don't know.
No,
I think
I'm
unless
glad it didn't
something,
happen.
yeah, unless an
Yeah.
Alex DeBrincat comes along, you're going to keep a top 10 pick. It's just you're getting
Yeah.
you have the chance to get too good of a player down the line. For
Agree.
me, and I don't think this is this. I don't know enough about this draft. I know the high end names and then a little bit, but I don't know. Is it considered a
Yeah.
deep draft?
No, it's a
No.
shit draft.
Yeah, Jesus, sugarcoated a little,
It
Matt.
is. No,
Yeah,
it's a shit
but
draft.
yeah, but at the same time, if you got a guy
Uh,
in the top 10, you take your top 10 pick. I think because if the fall
Yeah.
off is from
yep.
4 to 7's bad, 7 to 16 is probably astronomical, unless you got a diamond.
Yeah. Yeah. I agree.
Before the draft gets underway, I just want to know: who do you think Montreal will pick first overall? Do you think they
Oh,
take Shane Wright or not?
I watched him play. I watched Shane Wright play for a game when I was doing color and Kingston was playing. He was very quiet. And then I watched Slavkovsky play at the Worlds, and he was playing with men, and he looked pretty damn good. If I'm Montreal, I'm probably going to take Slavkovsky. That's probably a really hot take. It's a risk. I think the safe pick is Shane Wright, but I think you potentially have a much more dynamic player in Slavkovsky. Again, that's based off of the short tournament that I
Yep.
watched him play in. He didn't wow me per se, but as I mentioned, it's a shit draft.
Yeah, I'm taking Slavkovsky as well. Again, Shane Wright. I I always hesitate to because he's obviously going to be a top 3 pick no matter what. But the expectations they've
Yeah,
been on that kid for so long that maybe
yeah,
Yep.
maybe he finally got to his draft year and coasted a little bit. Right? That's like maybe he's like, okay, it's just it's been enough. I'm ready to take the next step, and
right.
I don't want to maybe complacency set in. I don't know, but I watched that kid at
Yeah,
the Olympics, the other kids, Slavkovsky, in some of the games, and he was a man amongst men. Like he controlled the ice a few games that I saw. So I was really
oh,
impressed by
nice.
him, and I remember saying it then. I was like, this kid, he's going to be a top 2 pick, but I think he'll be number 1.
Yeah,
I
and,
do.
and I wouldn't be surprised. Like I legitimately would not be surprised if Montreal goes with him. My only concern though, like we're doing this back and forth, we're all kind of debating who's going to go first. I feel like this, like I said, the safe pick. I mean, if you're Montreal and you want to be safe, you're going to go with Shane Wright because it appeases everybody. They're like, okay, you're going to get a decent two-way player. I know there were some bold comparisons to Patrice Bergeron. I don't believe that.
Yep.
I don't think it comes close to that. But I think if you want to be bold, you go with Slavkovsky. I'll leave it at that.
I hate when I hate the player comparison stuff. I'm like the kids are
Same.
18. Like it's like okay,
I know.
he does things like this, but now I don't like. They're just going to name the Selke Trophy after Bergeron. So anybody that gets you're setting a kid up for failure right out of the gate on that. But
Yeah,
I can
it's true.
understand he fits the pattern, but at number 1 you want a game changer, and like that kid can score goals at will. I think Slavkovsky.
I agree. I agree.
Well, be interesting to find out. We're not that far away from the first overall pick, but I want to go back to Ottawa and thoughts on Colin White, the buyout. Both you guys know Colin White very well. We've talked a lot about him in the room, but yes, he struggled on the ice. The contract wasn't his fault. I just think they gave him way too much money at the beginning. They wanted to make a statement that players want to play here. I get all that. They just overpaid him, and he had to pay the price. Bobby, are you okay with the buyout? And what does it do to a player? Because you obviously went through the same thing of being bought out.
Yeah, I mean, it's tough. You were on White. Like he's a great guy in the room. He was one of the first to kind of commit to what they were going to do long term, and because of that, he got overpaid. I honestly thought he would get another chance because last year seemed to be a bit of a lost year with the injury. Right? It was a lost year.
Yeah.
But I spoke to him yesterday. Like, it doesn't matter what we think. Ultimately, I guess for the organization, it's a good thing. It saves some money, and you're going to bring in a player to fill that slot, probably with Pinto right out of the gate. But Whitey was excited, and that's all that I, as a kid that I spent a lot of time with and kind of I guess, mentored in a sense and took under my wing. I was happy for him because I think for him to be the player that he wants to be, I think he's got to go somewhere else, and that happens a lot with players. It's just it felt like there was a square peg in a round hole for the last couple of years for him. So he's excited. I think, I didn't even talk to him, but he lost a lot of money, right? But at the same time, now he's going to get a 1 or 2 year deal. I think teams are going to reach out to him. I think he'll have an abundance of offers. Personally, on a show me deal for 2 years somewhere, and then he'll get to just play and not be under the weighted expectations of being the guy that has to bounce back from all the tough times in the last couple of years. So I'm excited for him, actually.
Yeah. And I'm curious to see how he handles the adversity moving forward, right? Because we talk about how, well, he might not be as, under as much pressure now, because team-friendly deal. But my concern is, like, he still has to prove himself, right? Like, I think at this point, with all the injuries he's had, he still has to go in and, like, show out. Like, he's got to knock someone off, or he's got to do something. So the pressure will be on him. But if he's doing everything right this summer, he's working hard, he's getting his body right. I mean, you have to think at this point, like, being such a great guy and teammate in the room and likable, that he's got everything going for him. So it's literally his job to lose at this point. So I'm with you. And I don't know him as well as Bobby does. Bobby's got a little more familiar with Colin White, but I've met him a few times. He's a really nice kid, and I know that the guys really liked him in the room. I just wonder I guess more than anything, I'm just curious as to where he'll end up and what kind of role is he going to fill? Like, is he going to be a fourth line center? Is he going to be your third line guy? Because is a team willing to go like there, Bobby? Like, are they willing to just throw him that opportunity right off the bat? Like, I think that's where my questions start coming in.
Yeah, I think there's enough teams in the league that somebody's going to give him a second to third line role right out of the gate.
You think even a second line potentially?
I say that knowing that would be a stretch, but I think the third line role, a team would bring him immediately, saying, the low end of what we expect is our third line center to be Colin White, and maybe we get more offense out of him, because people forget that the year that he had a great year, he was playing with Brady and Stoner and 42. I don't know whether it was
Mark Stone effect.
Yeah, it's a real thing, and he put some points up, but I all of a sudden people were like, okay, we got our second line center, and I was like, I don't know that Whitey was ever going to be that. Given his style of play and everything, but I think he can really be a good third line center that just bugs players, and then gives you some points as well, a little bit here and there.
See, Bobby, I don't know, and because I love Whitey, by the way, like, I've met him a bunch of times. I know he's a great kid. I don't know what he is as a player. Like, is he a grinder / pest that is good on draws and can potentially put up some decent points? Like, I don't know what his role is.
That would be my take on Whitey. Playing with him a little bit. I think he was elevated early because all first round picks are. But at the same time, I think that what you just said is going to be what his calling is if he wants a long-term NHL career. And then sometimes guys don't want to hear that. Like, guys don't want to be told, I've put up points everywhere, but at this level, I might not be that guy. Like Curtis Lazar. Remember, I mean, Curtis put up points, won Mem Cups, and now he's 27 years old, and now he's found his calling, and he's actually doing really well in his role there.
He's doing well.
I think that, once any young player kind of accepts that, and he's been in the league enough now that I think he should probably say, I might have to really bear down and be this type of player that can give a little bit more on offense at times. But I think you nailed it with what you said. He's got to be a pest. He's got to win faceoffs. And he's got to really, really commit to the defensive side of the puck. And then he's going to find his spot.
Yeah, well said.
That's the problem with the draft, right? Is that once you're a first round pick, you get pigeonholed that if you don't do something spectacular, then it's a bust. And you like the pressure on these 18-year-old kids to be successful.
It's crazy.
Harsh. Like
it's crazy. It's crazy.
It's tough.
I know.
Yeah.
I'm with you. Yeah.
I really got to fly under the radar being such a high pick going to a place like Anaheim, that, outside of the organization, it didn't feel like there was any weight on my shoulders. But, like the drafts in Montreal, they got the first pick. Whoever's life's going to change in an hour or whatever it is here. I mean, the expectations are just going to be phenomenal. So I always root for the
Yeah.
player over the
Well,
team in these circumstances.
and you were lucky, Bobby, right? Because you were able to go to a team that was, like you said, but it was a good team, right? Like you were still playing in California. It was kind of quiet as far as being, if you're a Canadian fan watching hockey, you're probably not watching a ton. You're not paying attention, but they had a great freaking hockey team, and so it was the best. It was literally like the best case scenario for you.
It was, yeah. I
Well,
got to fly under the radar for one, and then on top of it, I came into a great veteran hockey team. Like that's all you can ask for is being,
Yeah.
because I was the only young guy for a while there, so it was
Yep.
a really good situation for me.
Wally
so
wants to
the
chime in
draft
here.
is in. The draft is in Montreal. The last time I was, and I covered it, and Louis LeBlanc was the first round pick. I think he ended up being 17th or something. We had to. I was doing a story on basically him being the next Guy Lafleur. That was the pressure on Louis LeBlanc coming into
Oh
Montreal,
boy.
being French Canadian. Yeah,
Yeah, good luck.
it's crazy. So,
Yeah.
and Louis never panned out, and to be that, obviously to be an NHL regular, and I think back to all the pressure that gets put on these kids to really have to try and fight through that.
Yeah.
Like the mental
They're
part
too
of the game
young,
is crazy.
Wally. They're too young. Listen.
Yeah.
When I drafted, I know Bob tested this. I can still remember players that were highly ranked guys. These are guys that just hit puberty long before they did other guys, right? So these were like men going into the draft, and then they peaked. Like they peak early. So that's where it gets challenging for a lot of the GMs and the scouting staff, and I'm sure they're aware of it. But you got these guys that are like man-childs that are going in, and you know what you're getting right away with that player, but then you've got all these undercover players that are still progressing, that are still even growing and getting better. So that's where you have to figure it out and juggle a little bit. A lot of these top 10 guys, like they're fully developed dudes. They're ready to rock and play. And so
Yeah.
that's where you've got those undercover players that are flying under the radar a little bit. In 2 years or 3 years, 4 years down the road, wow, they're eclipsing those top 10 picks or a couple of them, So it's
Yeah.
business.
Yeah, it's very true.
Just a reminder, Colin White with some work to do. And speaking of work, our good friends at Bonisher Excavating Inc. like to do lots of work. You need some aggregate or landscaping needs, give them a call, 613-432-1120. Also, just a reminder that BEI is hiring if you're looking for some work. So visit bonisherexcavating.com and get in touch with them today. The first pick is about to be announced as we wait to see who it is.
Shit, I don't have it on my TV here.
I just got a text from Ryan. I got a text from Ryan Dzingel. He said, "Boys, everybody come out of retirement. Chicago's trading everybody." Okay, let's go. He's like, "Let's go."
I love it.
Oh, I missed that kid, man.
Oh, he's a good dude. He just got married, eh?
He's a last year
for him.
It was last year, yeah. They had
good for him.
Kind of a COVID wedding. It ended up being like a courthouse thing, and he's like, "Are you coming across the country?" I said, "Not for that. I'll send you a good gift."
Oh, that's great.
I liked Ryan Dzingel. He was a lot of fun.
Yeah, he's a good dude.
So, do you want to talk about your draft, Bobby? And it was in Ottawa. How strange it was to be thrown together because it was just after the lockout ends. There is no real setup.
Yeah.
Is it just you and Sid?
There was 20 of us in the room, in the Westin Ballroom, and a makeshift stage and all that. Just honestly, if it wasn't for Sid, I think they probably would have just said, "You guys are getting drafted online and be ready for the call," kind of thing. But you could, I mean, you could. We brought 3 people. You could bring 3 people. I brought my parents and agent, and it kind of lost its luster. But I'll never forget. Like somebody decided on the top 20 picks to invite, and they invited Ryan Stoa, and we all got drafted in the first round except for him. I think he ended up being like the 67th or 8th pick or something like that. He sat in that waiting room for like 3.5 hours by himself. We were done media, going to dinner with our family, and I remember him still sitting there waiting for his name to be called. I felt horrific for him. So it was I guess ultimately my experience wasn't too bad because I got to get in and get out and go about getting ready for the season. But that honestly, that's one of the biggest things I remember is, and because I like Stowe, I played with him a little bit. I was like, that's just a terrible, terrible situation to be in.
No kidding.
That is tough. Yeah.
Yeah. But I had some.
What
I
do
had
you
some fun. I
remember?
found my way across the border to Hull. I think
What a great
it probably
spot,
doesn't
eh?
even. I'll never forget.
Oh
It was
boy.
me and Carey Price and Kendall McCardle and a couple other players right to Cosmos.
Cosmo. Man,
Yeah.
when I used to go out there when I was 17, I was illegally going to a bar with a fake ID. People were still hacking darts in there. And I still remember one night being there and some guy, I think it was a bouncer, he got shot at the door. And all I remember was hearing the shot and hiding under a table. Like I'm like
Oh my
diving
goodness.
through people to get under a table. Yeah, and I'm drinking and I had my drink in my hand the whole time, never dropped it. Yeah.
Good
He
Canadian
died.
boy.
He was
Can't spill
okay.
that.
I think he got it in the shoulder and he like walked to the back. So I want to make sure everyone knows like it's not like some guy's laying on the floor and I was hiding under a table with my, Ryan Ginger or whatever it was.
Right. Yeah. But what an
What do you think,
experience. I'm
Wally?
glad I don't have to go through it.
Yeah, no, I'm sorry I brought this whole thing up. We'll just move on. Is Daniel Alfredson, before we get to LeBreton, we haven't had a chance to talk since Alfie was selected into the Hall of Fame. Bobby, are you surprised that he's in or that it took this long? What are your thoughts?
No, I guess I'm not surprised it didn't take this long, but I'm not surprised he's in. I think he should have been in a while ago. Sounds like he was surprised because somebody called him and he wasn't even paying attention, from what I read in a quote. But yeah, that being said, he's certainly a Hall of Famer. The career and the numbers speak for themselves. So happy for him, but really happy for Ottawa because the city and what I
Yeah.
see on Twitter is very minimal to what you guys see, I'm sure. But the city really campaigned for it, so it's really nice to see him reward it.
Yeah. And I'm sick of
Huge.
fluffing
Yeah,
Alfie up, so I'm just going to leave it at that. Bobby summed it up perfectly.
There you go.
well, you should remind people that Alfie did show up to your jersey retirement with the Gloucester Rangers. So
The only
you owe it to
player.
him.
No. Hey, let's get it straight. That was at Arena for the Ottawa Sting, not Gloucester.
Oh, my bad. I'm sorry. I got the minor teams mixed
Thank
up.
you. Thank you.
Alfie coached this Sting actually at one point.
Yeah,
and kudos
Alfie,
to Craig. If we
Alfie's experience doing that wasn't terrific either. He was telling me about it, how dealing with parents was an absolute fucking nightmare. So if there's anybody out there listening, don't be a nightmare parent when you're playing, when your kids are playing on a team. Understand that these coaches are volunteering and your kid likely won't play in the National Hockey League. Get over that and just be there for them and enjoy the time that you have because your kid will remember if you were a psychopath.
That's well said.
I've been on the board of, I was on the board of a AAA Hockey Association. I can completely confirm the craziness of parents. I have stories for days.
Crazy.
So maybe we'll tell them someday. Before we let you go, Bobby, I want your thoughts on LeBreton. Will it make a difference to players wanting to play here? Let's just say the Sens are a 500 hockey team in 4 years. I'm just picking an even number before people get excited. Will it make a difference for you to sign as a UFA if they have a better arena downtown and a much better setup?
Yeah, it would. Yeah, I think that would go a long way for me as a guy being recruited, because doing that means you can live down there and really get immersed in the city a little bit better than I think a lot of players do at this point. Westboro is so close to there as well. Yeah, it would absolutely make a difference to me. And nobody wants to play in a bad arena. A brand new arena for the next 10 years is going to attract a lot of players for sure.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, I totally agree. I mean, how do you argue with this? I mean, you guys, Wally, you already know where I stand on this, right? Like, and Bobby and I both played in Canada. Like, we understand we had a good time when we were playing there, but imagine playing downtown. You got all these people going out after their work. They're grabbing a couple of drinks or going to the rink. You just know the atmosphere is going to be fantastic, and it's going to be gorgeous. The facility is going to be first class. People, I can't tell you how excited I am. Like I'm pumped to bring my kids. So I think it's a huge win for the Ottawa Senators in the city. And not only that, think about it. Like, forget the Ottawa Senators. What about all the concerts, the big names that are going to be coming in? I mean, it's just everybody wins in this scenario. And I'm a big fan, and I'm happy that finally got it sorted out.
Yeah, that's a great point. The economy is going to go through the roof if you get that. No, the economy will go through the roof. Yeah, that's it.
Agreed.
We are 20 minutes into the draft show, and they have yet to make a first-round selection. Our first pick.
I just read a tweet that
I will say
Gary Bettman is stumbling through the French part of his speech right now.
Oh, no.
I just read, somebody's like, I don't know if Gary Bettman speaks French, but if he does, he's terrible.
Now, and there has been obviously a couple of big stories that have taken precedent, and that's obviously Brian Marchment and Mike Bossy passing of recent. So I do know that they've brought that up early on in the draft show. Before we're done here, do either of you know Trent Mann very well, who just got promoted to assistant general manager? Ryan Bowness is also an AGM as well, son of Rick Bowness.
Well, I'll go first really briefly because I'm sure Bobby might know one of the, I don't know Mann, but I know Bowness well because he was one of the training camps that I went to. In fact, I think it was the first training camp that I attended with the Columbus Blue Jackets, and I can still remember Ryan shaking my hand and almost breaking it, like it was way too firm a handshake, like it was beyond civil, So anyway, but really nice guy, very personable. Immediately have a conversation with him. So a couple great hires there.
Interesting.
Yeah,
I didn't know him.
I don't know Trent from more than really hello and a couple conversations here and there. But he's very, very highly regarded in the scouting circles, I believe. And I think he's done a fantastic job, really, if you look at some of the picks that he's made. And I hope that you can kind of keep him in that role a little bit as well, because I think he's a really good asset in that role. But I do think he fits what they're doing, and you kept the guy in-house to promote. I think that's a great thing.
Yep. Well said, Bob.
I think eventually he becomes GM at some point. Finally, have either one of you seen the documentary series Unrivaled about the Colorado Avalanche Detroit Red Wings rivalry?
Oh yeah,
it's so good.
You watch? I was gonna give Methot. I didn't know if Meth watched it. It's phenomenal.
No, Bobby, I haven't seen it. I've seen all the trailers, but it did it not just come out like a couple of days ago?
Yeah,
about a week ago, maybe. Night. Yeah, give or take. Yeah.
No, like more recent, like a day ago, maybe, or two.
No, I mean I watched it I watched it about 4 or 5 days ago, and
but
I watched it over the span of 2 days.
You did everything first.
Fair. But that being said, it was a phenomenally well done documentary. So get it done.
Awesome.
Yeah, get on that,
so
Meth.
Good.
I will, brother. I will. I'll watch it.
It was extremely good. All right. Before we let you go, the first pick is about to be announced, and then we'll let everybody enjoy the show. Bobby, I want to appreciate you. If I don't get to say it, appreciate you coming on as always. You're so good. We appreciate you.
You guys,
you
guys kept me from date night. Yeah, I appreciate it. I got to go do an escape room with Tyler Johnson and the wives. I'm like, what are we doing?
Oh, that's great.
So, yeah.
Oh, wow.
All right,
I appreciate you guys having me.
See you later.
All right, man. See you guys.
All right, Bobby. Take care.
Peace.
There goes Bobby Ryan, one of the true, we'll call him just a beauty, right? Like I just love having him on the show.
Good guy. Great guy.
Yeah.
Agreed.
Meth, back to your, I don't know if you said in the show, I think so. Your son caught his first fish today, by the way. Was it, like, what's the size of this thing?
It was about I want to say it was like maybe 1.5 pounds or a 2 pound. It's aggressive. It was a small bass, small mouth, but that's okay. I mean, for him, he was
he's
elated.
like 5.
It was so exciting. Yeah, he's 4.
Yeah.
he had
So
an Avengers like fishing rod that we got a Canadian Tire, right? So it was exciting for him. Yeah.
It's so good. All right.
Yeah.
They're about to make the pick.
So
I still think
Wally, I can't see anything right now. Are they on the stage?
Yeah. Everybody's lining up.
Okay, well, talk me through it. Of
course,
let's talk this through.
In TV land, it's delayed. So on Twitter, it's probably going to be there before TV land.
Ah, okay. Well, I still think. Who do you think it's going to be, Wally? Quick.
I think it's. I'm going to. Saflowski?
Oh, Bob Father. The Bob Father already chimed in. Rydovsky.
Yeah. They met with him this morning. Jeff Molson.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, did they?
Jeff Molson met with him this morning. Yeah. I just think it's
the right pick.
Well.
Yeah, I agree.
But boy, oh boy, what if Shane Wright lights it up throughout his career?
Yeah, but listen. And he legitimately may do that. As Bobby mentioned, we're talking about 17-year-olds, right? Like it's so unpredictable. But I think right now, based off of the 2 games that I saw both of them playing, and I know most Sens fans don't give 2 shits about any of this stuff as far as these other players, but Slavkovsky was a little bit more dynamic. He's a much bigger man. He just seems like he's got it, right? A little bit more of that it factor, where Shane Wright, maybe more of that. Yeah, exactly. I mean, that's literally the only assessment that I can give, because these kids are so young. Like, for all we know, a player that falls down to that 5th or 6th slot might be a better player. You just don't know.
Absolutely. All right, we've tempted your internet way too long. It still hasn't really crashed except once. I think we've killed this draft because you have been able to stay online this long. This may be the best thing we've ever done.
Okay, fair enough.
Duct tape and glue and stuff. All right. We'll see you next time. Go enjoy the cottage. Work on that tan.
All right. See you guys. Okay, bye.
See you, everybody.